Wrestling fans, it's your boy, the new classic, capital B-I-L-L-Y, Billy Dixon. And let's get acquainted with one another real quick. Y'all don't know me, I don't know you, it gets a little awkward. I'm from the South Bronx, I'm from the hood, I'm from the gutter. Yeah, I went to school with Cardi B. What's poppin', Cardi? A little Cardi in the oven. Okay, so let's talk about me. I fought all my life. I fought against bullies. I fought against the boys to get into the 10th floor of my apartment building. I fought against the system, but I overcame. And every step I take in my journey is a step to become the best in professional wrestling. And it starts at Capital Wrestling. Every time you see me in the ring, you're gonna get entertainment. You're gonna get a hard-fought battle. You're gonna get capital on your investment. From the new classic, Billy Dixon.
Pretty high stakes. How are you feeling?
Feelings are for losers. But if I had to describe how I'm feeling in one word, and that's ready. Ready to become the new Fest Wrestling Champion. Ready to take the business to Daddy. In fact, when I'm done with him, you can all call me your stepdaddy. See, me and Effie have been fighting for years over supremacy and dominancy. We're two really rugged tops fighting for the top spot in this revolution and in this business. But that's what he forgets. I'm the business, and the business has beaten him twice. Tonight, trifecta time. And after that, there is no disputing who Effie's daddy is.
Strong words from Billy. We'll see what happens tonight.
New champ, let's go, baby!
You already know who it is, man. You always had the utmost respect. At this point in time, I think it is very important that we speak to the likes of the business. We're outside, man. We back, like I said. This is the Locker Room Lead. I definitely need everybody to like, subscribe, share to your heart's content. I definitely appreciate y'all for being with us this evening when this is being launched. We're recording this on a night in which a lot of exciting things have transpired. It's a lot going on this particular night, but as we move forward, this is the go home week to Billydelphia 2024, and we are joined this evening by the business himself, Billy Dixon. How you doing tonight, brother?
What's poppin', my man? It's good to be back. Long time no talk.
Yeah, long time. I'm definitely appreciative of the fact that you was able to join the lead tonight. As I said, I definitely appreciate your time. It is a lot going on. Billydelphia 2024, man. You know what I mean? So I'm just appreciative that you provided a little bit of time with us tonight.
Nah, anything for y'all, anything for you. Yeah, I know this is your city, but for next week it's my city.
It's Billydelphia. I'm
Billydelphia.
You know what I mean? I might need you to do me a favor. Mm-hmm. I was going to order a tea, that Miley Billydelphia tea on the. That is some iconic shit, and I have to.
I appreciate that.
And it's you. It's so you. You know what I mean? And I appreciate that you made that you. I have to meet up with you at some point before for the culture to get a size medium or a large if you have it. I'll have payment, but I didn't order yet because I didn't know if it was going to be to my doorstep in time. So I might need that before Friday night if we can make that happen.
I'll let you know right now. I'm having issues with my distributor. So right now the package is lost right now. So I may not have t-shirts in hand. I'll have other merchandise items, but right now the t-shirts are currently lost. So hopefully a miracle can happen. I can get them before, but if not, hit the link. It'll be up for some time after. We may have another t-shirt that is not necessarily Billydelphia oriented, but very, very true to the kind of vibe that I'm doing. And it's a lot more, it's probably going to be one of the more out there wrestling shirts, if that's even such a thing. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's exciting stuff. I mean, even at some point, I hope I can get that Billydelphia as like some type of motif or something or a souvenir. But I just might have to like print out that and have, because I'm setting up a lot in a new crib. We're in a new locker room at this point. I might just need that image. That's Black.
It'll be available for purchase, and I definitely should have a couple of items that have that iconography on it. So you already know what time it is.
Absolutely. Damn, man. I really hope we can definitely figure that out. But you know, it's up. You know what I mean? We're gonna be in the town. We'll definitely go. We'll see. You know, For the Culture is slated to be a dope show. You know what I mean? We're gonna get into a little bit of that in a few. But for right now, and Bill, we've definitely had conversations before. we definitely, have similar thought processes about this particular business and the state of it, and knowing who we are while we're in this business, correct? But for this iteration of our conversation, and since it's your first time on the lead, I want to ask you the question: why pro wrestling for you?
You and my therapist asked the same question. Macro answer, it is, I think, the purest art that you can make. It's the most honest art we make as artists. The most underappreciated, but the most true to theatrical performance, the last real theater in the round experience that's available to a consumer in 2024. And I said this before in an interview, and I don't know where I first said it, but the closest I feel to God is in a wrestling ring. Like the closest I feel my connection to my purpose in life, what I'm supposed to be here for, is when I'm performing, when I'm around the energy, when every vibe is right. It can be an incredibly deeply spiritual experience.
And I definitely feel that, and that reminds me of certain things I've heard different workers say from different places. When you think about like workers from Japan, right? And thinking about a particular fighting spirit, you know what I mean, that takes place within a human. So I really appreciate that answer for sure. I want to jump right into something really quick. You are a creative, and your creativity, your work, I think, has spoken to a certain person and a certain people. And if you just for a minute, you might not know what I'm about to ask you, but I've always kind of seen your career as, as far as everyone's career, right? One moment builds to the next. And the one moment where I knew something was going on with you that was really special was in your feud with Ariel and Nix.
Okay.
Could you talk to me a little bit about where things were in the beginning trying to develop that? And I know you and Ariella are probably like really like click tight for sure. But can you just tell me a little bit about that and just a little bit about y'all's relationship? It was a lot that was spelled out in y'all's feud that I think that looked similar to folks who grew up in certain areas, right? The way that you were speaking, the way Ariella speaks, right? The region, right? And
Yeah.
just knowing where we are, right? Like I said, like knowing where we are in this business. Just can you just talk to me a little bit about that process with you and Ariella at that time?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I have not talked about this, I don't think, ever on a podcast. Yeah, it was for Uncanny Attractions. They wanted to do some sort of like street fight, and they noticed that me and her are both from the Bronx, and they wanted us to promote the match. And I talked with her, and we just started spitballing some ideas. And one of the things that I hope people think about me is that I'm a very highly collaborative person. I definitely don't want to be like domineering. I am very, if I do have an idea and I think it's great, I will be very, very adamant about it. But we got to talking, and it was just like the name of the match is a Bronx Bodega Brawl. So I think you put Bronx and Bodega next to each other, and I think that it elicits a very particular emotion and energy between people. And we both tapped into kind of like the Banji energy of the Bronx without being a caricature of it. Which, when someone who isn't of your background wants you to do something and promote something that is of your background, I think one of the things that I've noticed in my career, and one of the things that I've learned from, in my opinion, maybe some people's failures or time going along, awareness, consciousness, blah, 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 is I think in wrestling, the idea is that to commodify it, you have to make it minstrelly, or you have to make it a caricature. And for me and for Ariella, there's something about growing up seeing don't care for each other, fighting just straight in front of a bodega, and items being flown, and the bodega cat manager getting the peak, and part of Bronx culture also being, Afro Latino and things like that is the chancla and all of that, and how to take this item that at the time, if I'm not mistaken, if somebody did it before us, like that's cool. Like I don't care about owning that, but like taking this chancla that like is a weapon, that has been weaponized, and pro wrestling-fying it by adding thumbtacks to the side of it. And I forgot who made it, but no, my man Tino made it, and he thought he individually hot glued E6000 the thumbtacks to it, and then incorporating elements of this being a queer promotion and kind of knowing where that audience that's not super into wrestling but super into outlandish things, how and who took the chancla and where they took the chancla, were all fun things that we had to do coming together. And she was very easy to work with, and it was a lot of fun. And not every match is the aim is to get 5 stars or the aim is critical acclaim. I think you take each match as it comes, and that one was about making those people happy and speaking to those people while also representing what this match was booked to represent. So that's really how all that came together.
Absolutely, for sure. And I really appreciate you expanding on that for a minute. And I just know just from, and I'll just say, I definitely have relationships with folks in the community. And just based on that, I was able to play certain things that was going on in y'all's story. Even that word that you used just now with like Banji, right? Like somebody I'm in a relationship with had to tell me what that meant. And me kind of being alongside them a lot, watching ballroom, watching drag race, watching et cetera, being in the community physically, you know what I mean? As an outsider, I'm able to learn so much. You see what I'm trying to say? So
yeah,
I kind of feel like with what y'all presented, like I had to go back and tell my folks about this, right? And also telling my folks about Cassandra Cup, right? Telling my folks about the Big Gay Brunch and its iterations each year. Can you talk to me a little bit about that, right? We talked about this before, but a little bit about Cassandra Cup, everything that went into that, and then some of your beginning works with Effie and everything for the Big Gay Brunch.
Yeah, I mean, well, Cassandra Cup is really the result of the success of the first show I think I've ever. I think the first show I ever successfully ran, Butch versus Gore, which was the last major wrestling event before COVID lockdown.
Yep.
No, I think it was us, and then WWE did a pay-per-view, and then the world shut down the next day. And it was at the time Primetime Pro Wrestling doing their first ever Pride show, and me working with my friend Lo McLaughlin, Lo McGrath. I don't know where that left. Lo McGrath. Yeah, we were working on this together, and we were adamant that we didn't want to do a Pride show in June because I think kind of the June Pride show thing is very it's like condescending. I think there's no other way around it at this point. Just very apparent, like rainbow marketing, and like let's do it when it's like not the let's be successful when it's not the easiest time to be successful. Let's do it in March, and that show, like I think for a show that wasn't like a GCW or like a major independent at the time, to be on par, to sell the amount of tickets we sell, to be sold out, even adding capacity, and to trend where we trended on social media. I think we were like number 6 on Twitter. It was a cultural event and a paradigm shift. And I think the first time queer wrestling was seen as viable. Now, there have been other promotions that have existed that I think you have to give credit to, regardless of beef or animosity or cancellation. You got to give credit to A Matter of Pride for starting that. And I think Butch versus Gore really just blew the window off the hinges. And respectfully, because it's a GCW event, Effie's Big Gay Brunch, I really do have confidence that the success of Butch versus Gore was more of the buy-in to the big gay brunch happening, and that's not me taking ownership of Effie's success because like he just sold out without announcing a match for Philly. So I mean, he's created an incredible brand independently with the hard work he's done. But I definitely am not going to act like the success of Butch versus Gore, which we didn't use television talent, we didn't use like none of that was a thing back then. It was a bunch of independent wrestlers who were queer, who did grassroots marketing, papering the town,
Yeah.
making sure, doing all that created this real change. Like it just I could feel that something was about to happen. Did I know the world was gonna end in 2 days? No. But did
Right.
I feel like in wrestling that we may I remember saying I think we stepped into some shit to low.
Hmm.
I remember seeing the numbers, I was like, I don't think things are going to be the same after this. And all these years later, 4+ years later, things have not been the same. And Big Gay Brunch, I don't like do anything creatively. I'm talented. Thank God, I run
Yeah.
enough shows. But I know that me and Effie had a past where we were supposed to wrestle. And we were not given the opportunity to really show what we can do due to egregious politics and just flat out jealousy and unprofessionalism. And it wasn't until we got to wrestle each other at the Fight Forever 24 hour show.
Yeah.
Whew, in an amazing no heat like venue
Yeah.
in January. But there was something about seeing each other go this hard, and really it wasn't a matter of proving to our colleagues, in my opinion, proving to our colleagues or proving to the fans or proving it to GCW management. I think we didn't give a shit about any of that.
Yeah.
I think we wanted to prove to each other that the other could go and that we could stumble into something greater. And every time we've wrestled since, I do feel like we tap into something more and more. I do feel like, as far as queer wrestling, it will probably be the equivalent of Rock Austin because we are very similar, but incredibly different at the same time. And there is a spontaneity to our work. There is there's an we call it polish remover. We're not very polished. When we work together, it's very visceral and physical and emotional and about the heat of the moment. And I think that when you put us together, it's not going to be the most like graceful match, but you're gonna go, wow, those two beat the shit out of each other, and our sexuality really doesn't come into play in the match whatsoever. Yeah, you get your little like hump headbutts, but like that's not it. But I think that going off to say is that like I know that my performances at the Big Gay Brunch and my like the Billy match, they do carry weight in different ways. I'm either wrestling in a death match in the main event, which I think completely changed the trajectory of my career with AJ Gray pop collar match in 2021, or I'm tapping into something completely drenched in something that our audience would want, which is like wrestling Make Kira like I'm Madonna at the '84 VMAs. That our audience, they really feed off of that, and they really do love hijinks. I think that like I know that Effie, as a booker, as a showrunner, understands that like I can do, and he's publicly put me over for this, so I appreciate it. But like I think he understands that like I am not one thing, I can be anything. And I understand that like every match has a different assignment. And I think some of the other people in our community are not really great at that yet and are not really understanding that like we service our customer. Who is this customer and what do they want? And I think instead of having the blank match, really think about your customer. And I think that like that's how my role at the Big Gay Brunch has been so consistent and technically memorable, because I would say that every Big Gay Brunch I'm in the conversation of the top 2 or 3 moments,
Yeah.
Of matches with most important, especially coming up this year. Fuck. Ooh, that's gonna be a real uh Damn, my body's tensing up thinking about it. That's gonna be crazy. But I'm excited. But that's kind of how these things happen. Like I really would have wanted to. I know what I would have done at the Big Gay Brunch in 2020,
Mhm.
and I would have put someone through a table that has a gang, and I would have worked with someone who may or may not have been the face of GCW since 2019.
Mm.
I would love to revisit that now and see how crazy that would go.
Yeah.
But we'll see,
Mhm.
But yeah, it's been fun working on Big Gay Brunch and seeing queer wrestling expand for the past like 5 years for sure. It's been wild to watch.
Absolutely. And that's the reason why I feel like it's so needed, because as you just said, right, like 84 VMAs, I feel like it's so many moments in pop culture that can be referenced in the space like y'all's, and those things be done with perfection there. Those references made. Like sometimes we've seen shit by the boatload, right? Shit during the Attitude Era, shit during the wars, and it was like you know what I mean? Like you said, like sometimes it feels like, folks are like minstrelizing like our shit, but it's like when you came to you and Ariella, like exactly what the fuck y'all was trying to do. You know what I mean? For lack of a better term.
And I think just intentionality is everything.
Absolutely.
I think that I don't like to be like pretentious anymore. I used to be very pretentious talking about wrestling, but
Which I
I
appreciate.
just think I am an art snob, and it's hard because I've realized that like I think my disconnect with some of my colleagues is just like we really are artists, and there's paintbrushes, and I get you want to have a great match. Yeah, I get all that, but like wrestling can be so much more. It can be so much more. I get it. Chop, 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 chop. Forearm, forearm, like I get it. I get it. But no, that's not, the people's elbow is one of the most iconic moves. It's a very hideous elbow drop. Like
Right.
the things that people remember are not that at the forefront. And I think that like I really would like for the talent that I'm around to understand that, like, I understand wanting to be remembered and wanting to be considered a great professional wrestler, great worker, whatever you want to call it, is important. But our job is to entertain, and our job is we can use so many artistic devices. And, you know, I think I look at wrestling so much more like ballroom,
Yeah.
and every major show I work is a ball, and I got to come up with the costume and the concept, and I'm thinking about all of this. So by the time the match happens, if you're really good at wrestling, then there's so much less you have to do, because also we're destroying our bodies for other people's entertainment, and we are mostly on. I mean, I got good health insurance finally, but like some of us don't have health insurance, and also if you destroy your body, the promoter's probably not going to pay for it. So like now that I'm older and I'm wiser, I can think about it more cerebrally, and I think if I put more intention into so many other things, that when it's time to actually do the performance, I don't have to jump off of a balcony
Yeah.
unless I really wanted to,
Mhm.
because I've really absorbed my audience for this particular match into the story that I'm trying to weave and tell, and hooking them with devices that are not just wrestling moves or a promo that they will be drawn towards. And I
Mhm.
think that every single thing that happens in a wrestling ring before you even lock up is important. And I think that's the part that folks are forgetting. And
Yeah.
I think wrestling. I mean, that's why I made a show based on wrestling and ballroom. I think the similarities are very overwhelming, and I think that every wrestler should watch Paris is Burning, because they would learn so much more about how to get over if they
Mm.
watched that. If they really paid attention,
Yeah.
that movie teaches you how to get over. It's crazy.
That's a quote. Yeah, I like that. I like that for sure.
Yeah.
That's good shit. You mentioned, something about like this year, right? And
Mm.
also mentioned that this is your sixth Mania week going into.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
Yep.
this Mania week, you are challenging for the GCW Ultraviolet Championship.
That I am. That I am.
Now, So for folks, that's the giveaway. Now, Bill, how does going into this Mania week, this 6-1, differ from the other ones, and how also how are they similar?
Well, this
Preparation.
one I'm gonna be very busy. I'm gonna be very busy and get very little sleep. So that's the number one difference. God bless. I'm busy and I get to do really cool things. Not only am I having wrestling matches and potentially gonna be on stage at Mania and all that, right? But like I get to watch a fashion show and all this cool shit and have these really cool matches, right? But like this year I am very busy and I am going to push the limits of my understanding of time management.
Mm-hmm.
There's time to have fun during these weeks. I think this week in particular, I'm prioritizing my rest and my health and making sure that I show up to work because, yeah, WrestleMania week, for some people it's their vacation. This is a week of work for me. Like, ultimately, my mindset is that I'm going to work and I need to work in tip-top condition. Prior WrestleMania weeks, I put way too much pressure on myself.
Mm-hmm.
I completely didn't have a good time
Mm-hmm.
because I was so focused on stealing the show. Now, last couple of collectives, I did, but like I could confidently say like I definitely upstaged Kota Ibushi GCW debut,
Yeah.
which probably didn't make some people happy, and I could give a shit.
Yeah.
Hoodfoot year before that, stole the weekend with the Undertaker spot.
Yeah. Talk about it.
Match with AJ, was probably the most talked about thing outside of the great Nick Gage RSP
Yeah.
match. I think my match probably second most talked about thing,
Yeah.
and in
Definitely.
some circles the most. I think for me, I know that there's a lot of attention, there's a lot of eyes, and there's a lot of scrutiny. And I know that this is a very important week, and I got to put in work. And this year, I'm not going to sit in a hotel room and stew over my matches and lay low. I am making time to do things that are fun because life is about balance. I'm also older, so I know that these things are not healthy, but I'm not, I won't be getting turned and I won't be up all night. I do have a bedtime. I do have a curfew. I do have a diet that I follow that I'm not going to be enjoying the delicacies that Philadelphia has to offer at this time. I have to make sure my body, given just like getting older, life changes, learning things about myself, health challenges that I had in the last year and a half, just like really got to take care of myself. And I think that I'm excited to see how I feel. I mean, I'm going to be hurt. I'm going to be hurting, like for sure. But like, I'm excited to see how I feel this year versus LA. LA was very brutal. And it was brutal just because it wasn't brutal. I mean, I did take like a bunch of shit on the floor, but like it was brutal in the sense of just like exhaustion. I was just exhausted, and I like God bless Keita Murray. I got to stay on this couch and shit, but like I just wasn't in a real comfortable place mentally and physically, and I would find out why when I went to the hospital after getting cut open from Jay Bougie. But yeah, anyways, long story short, we're gonna have fun, but we're also going to remind ourselves that we're an athlete. Like the same kind of beat. NBA finals. This is every day is game 1, game 2, game 3, game 4. I think for me, looking at my schedule and looking at the fact that I'm wrestling different kinds of matches, different kinds of opponents, experience levels, all these kind of things, I'm looking at it more like that.
Yeah.
Does that make me not the funnest guy to be around that week? Absolutely. I'm not going to be dying to go to every bar and have every drink and get. I am going to be upset about the Philly cheesesteaks. We may have to break the diet one day. Next week.
On your way out, just grab one.
Yeah, I can't. I've never been to Philadelphia proper before, so yeah, we got to make that happen. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
For sure. Yeah, I'm loving this, man. I'm loving it because it just speaks to your dedication And a lot of artists can't speak like this, right? Like you mentioned that this is the greatest, purest art form. Not for nothing, but folks, as much as I like it, the folks that do like the live paintings, like at an event or like, at like a wedding or something like that, like they don't have to do this much. Like, you know what I mean? Like you take any like contemporary type of art, which is going to be impressive or, but I'm also biased because this was like the first like art form public that I was kind of introduced to in this form. It's kind of related to sports in a way. I'm very sporty and all of these things. But yeah, I just want to know, right? You have quite the bevy of opponents going into this Mania week.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely want to shout out one, the revolutionary Darius Lockhart. We definitely had the pleasure of speaking to one another right before Ashe, and definitely I just want to say touche and congratulate you on the Ashe Cosmos move. And
Thank
I just
you.
know it's a lot going on. Yeah, would you like to speak on that a little bit?
Oh man, I love Darius Lockhart.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite people I've met in wrestling. And I remember when we first met each other, and I wish like there was footage of when Martin Luther King and Malcolm X met each other for the first time. Cause there was a vibe of like, I've seen you and I've seen you, almost like that Spider-Man like
Yeah.
um and the vibes were just great. We did a tryout show for a company that no longer exists anymore, and they
Okay.
both passed us up because the promoter was fucking some girl that was going to win a tryout show anyway. So whatever.
We see how that
Um,
is with the top from
yeah,
the
you know what I mean. From the top
top.
to the bottom, same old shit.
Yeah.
But like, you
Mhm.
know, seeing his trajectory, super proud of his trajectory. He's on really, really dope shit, and on his own terms. And my journey, and then they've intersected now where all these years later, like we've created I would say we've legacy's a real hard word for me to have ownership of, but I would say that we've really made paths that are substantial, and we are in positions where we can typically marginalized talent in wrestling don't tend to reach back down. That's just the truth. And
Yeah.
that includes marginalized folks that are on television right now that get more credit than they deserve, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's me. That's not Darius. I'm saying that.
Mm.
But what I will say is that we both have felt a need to pull up as much as we can and pull up and pull up and pull up.
Yeah.
Probably to our detriment professionally, I would say.
Mhm.
But I think it's just in our nature. We're both only children who have complexes that we are working out, and we're both men in therapy trying to figure life out. But Ashe is so dope, and Ashe is the reason I came out of retirement, actually. So I now I can just say I just went on hiatus, right? But like I was like, I really believed that I had nothing left to contribute. I was just tapped out, burnout, a lot of disappointments, a lot of sadness, mental health issues, relationship issues, financial issues. Everything just came pouring down. Darius drove several hours to my house, sat me down and explained what Ashe was and said, I need you here. And I was like, you don't need me. You got this person. You got this person. You got this person. And these are people who I think are legitimately more talented, more beneficial to a brand than me. I'm not fake humble. I see things for what they are. And he was very adamant that he needed me. And the prospect of what Ashe has become and what it can be is very alluring to me, and something that's worth putting myself back into this grind that I did not frankly miss.
Mm.
But I enjoy in a different way now. I'm not a child doing this anymore. Now I am a grown ass man about his business, which is recontextualized a lot. But
Yeah.
Ashe is so dope. And I think that Ashe is what a Darius Lockhart show will look like. And that's like the coolest thing about it is that it very much, you understand where he's coming from, but it's so accessible, and so many people have liked it, and these houses have been really awesome.
Yeah.
and I think it's only going to go up from here. And I'm excited for my first match there. You know,
Yeah.
I've been at every single one, appearing in some way or another. You know, certain someone has made that a little bit more difficult than it needed to be. But
Mhm. Get into it.
Ashe is like the dopest Negro leagues ever.
Mm.
Like it's such a like, I personally speaking, Ashe is like the most celebratory Negro leagues ever.
Yeah.
And I don't really give a shit about where I rank in wrestling anymore. But to really be able to contribute to Ashe,
Yeah.
just for what it can do for the city of Charlotte and what it can do for wrestlers like me, uh, that that's worth some more head drama for sure.
Absolutely, for sure. And so, with that, I wanted to kind of circle around to some, a few of your opponents, and I think, we kind of brought up one. Um, Please tell me, what is it like standing across from working with a one Darius Carter? Is it difficult? Is it meant to be? Do you feel like y'all dance partners? Like, what is that like?
God, it's like so many times now. Wrestling has a way of showing you your person.
Mm.
Like, I hate him, but he's my. I believe we are each other's wrestling soulmates. Um, which is weird because I hate him a lot.
Yeah, y'all got
Uh,
I have a y'all got a
you know, I've been on the losing end like almost the entire time, but in the heat of battle, I'd be remiss to say that there wasn't respect that was gained. I'd be remiss to say that there wasn't appreciation and an education that happened in the ring. Standing across from him, you know that it's going to you're going to have a good match.
yeah.
Like, it's just, there's no way it's not going to be exceptional. Objectively speaking, Darius Carter is deeply, deeply talented, and he's like Randy Orton, where he just like has no clue. I think
Mm-hmm.
he's starting to realize it,
Mm-hmm.
but like the brain there is very, very talented. I've never shitted on his ability.
Yeah.
His character,
Another
whole other
story.
thing. Who he is outside of the ring, and the years of ruining my life just because he wants to. We can speak to that, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But in the ring, you know that it's going to be phenomenal. You know it's going to be very physical. You're going to learn something. You're going to learn a new counter to one of his moves, which I've learned each match. And also, I don't think I've ever been put to the limit. I mean, we went 45 minutes, June 2022, longest match I've ever had, and I felt like I mean, in some ways, I was, cattle going out to pasture. It was physical,
Yeah.
but I always say in every interview, in another life, I think me and him would have realized that we're very similar and we view wrestling very similarly, and we probably would have been friends. But this ain't that timeline, so fuck that nigga. You know what I mean?
So, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And that's why I feel like this particular Mania week, and we've said it here, and you all have seen it. You know what I mean? The moments, right? And they're building on top of one another. Now, Miss Rina Yamashita. Um, how familiar are you with her work, and what are you looking forward to most about this match?
I've seen Rena have great matches in person. I've worked shows with Rena.
Hmm.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
I am a fan. I am a fan. I have so much respect for her, and what she's put her body through, and what she has done as a woman in deathmatch, what she has done as a Japanese woman in deathmatch. Um, she's tougher than me, for sure. But uh, I think I need this more than she does right now. Like, long story short, uh, for some reason, there isn't a barrier for Effie or Alley Catch or Dark Sheik or Rico Gonzalez from crossing over through non-identity specific events to the main roster for GCW. And for some reason, there has been a barrier to entry for me. And I'm not going to fill in the blank. I can let other people fill in the blank. Why? I have no idea. So instead of waiting for an opportunity, I'm going to take it. How do I take it? Is by becoming the champion. Because then I have to be on the show.
Mm-hmm.
So this match, you know, some people use WrestleMania week as like their audition to like prove that they belong and they're so great. I know I'm great. I know I belong. I've known this for some time now. I know that I have something to offer. And my birthday is Tournament of Survival weekend. I want to turn 29 dripping in blood. I want to beat the shit out of somebody for my birthday. How can I do that? How can I make sure I get there? I become the new Ultraviolet champion.
Absolutely.
And I know if I win this bout, a lot of people are going to be fucking pissed. And I don't give a fuck. Come fight me. Take it from me. Because when you when you are denied your entire life in so many facets of your life, you are denied entry and you are not given the treatment of others, there at a certain point becomes a lack of a fuck to give about what happens after you get what you want by any means necessary. So all respect to Rena. She's going to bring it. She's the GOAT. I've seen her powerbomb men my size. I know she's got it. I know she can bring it.
Mm-hmm.
But like her legacy cemented.
Yeah.
Like she's gonna go down as one of the best to ever do it. Like no question. I need this championship. I've never said this about a title before. I need that championship. I just need it so that I can prove what I've already thought was proven. But I guess people need to be smacked upside the head. So I will win this championship or die trying.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's no quit in me. I've never really quit before under circumstances of someone really making me. So she's going to have to stop me because I'm gonna keep getting up. I'm gonna keep getting up.
Absolutely. And we definitely can't leave out Uncanny with Marco. Is preparation for that match a bit because it seems like I'm just taking all of the answers and just processing them. There seems to probably be like a level of importance between some of these matches. Am I noticing that?
It's Billydelphia. Everything's important.
Okay.
This is the finals. This is the finals. Every game counts. Every single game counts.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Marco started wrestling like 2 days ago. Sure, right? But he was trained, or they are trained. I don't know the pronoun situation there, so we'll say they were trained by Envy Young, who I've been in the ring with, who I've been running around this industry with for a long time. God, I'm getting old. So I know that they're trained well, and I know that they have something to offer to be, quite frankly, in the ring with me. To challenge me for my championship. So I'm interested to see what they have to bring to the table. I think that I play mind games when it comes to the Uncanny title. The Uncanny title brings out a different side of me that is a little bit more adversarial than friendly. But I'm not taking this lightly. This is the first match. Second match, I have Billydelphia week.
Yes.
And I don't like to lose titles. I will hold the title for as long as 826 days. That's how much I don't like losing titles because they make me a lot of money. So, props to you, Marco. I'm sure we're gonna have a banger. I'm sure you're gonna learn a lot. I'm sure you're super excited to be in the ring with me. I'm super excited to be in the ring with you. But you're not gonna win. So that's that. It'll be fun. We'll have a good time. It'll be nice. Nice memory. I got to wrestle the business Billy Dixon. I mean, my first WrestleMania week. You're welcome. You got to wrestle someone who made it easier for you. You're welcome.
Yeah.
I didn't jump out of wrestling school and go into WrestleMania week. You know, I had to do this crazy thing called bust my fucking ass and bleed across this country and take shit. I wasn't just handed a queer wrestling education silver platter. So, do I have a little bit of motive to make this a real decisive victory? You're damn right. Am I bitter about what they have gotten that I haven't gotten? Absolutely not. That's why I've done what I've done. But yeah, this is an OG check match.
Yeah, you
sure.
got something to learn, Marco. I think I'm noticing that.
Yeah. Like, you just got here, and you're already on WrestleMania week. I gotta check MV about that after that match, but that's a little interesting.
Yeah,
I'm a little old man yells at clouds right now. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm self-aware.
Yeah.
But if you think you WrestleMania week ready, we're gonna see it. So let's do it.
Absolutely. Well, I'm really loving what I'm hearing, and I don't have any other choice but to believe you. I really think that I've never spoken to a performer, and everyone's passionate, right? Like I just brought up a few names, and I've had the great opportunity to speak to certain folks, but nobody just kicks it like this. I just this is just one of my favorite one-on-one.
Because everybody's trying to be Beyonce and cryptic, and I think that's stupid. I think no one can do that better than her. So like, why try?
Exactly.
Be yourself. Be yourself. But don't get me wrong. Like this comes with like no contract, no greater opportunity, like a ceiling, kind of, sort of. We'll see. Maybe I can smash the glass ceiling. I think there's a couple of glass ceilings I'm going to smash.
Yeah.
However, I think what we do may not be straight up to some folks, but like I'm always gonna be me. You're not gonna get this is not a concept. This is not a laboratory thing. This is me. And I think because I am me, I've had the career I've had, because you don't become, I think, like one of the more important performers of this generation when you're, quite frankly, uncoordinated, unathletic, pick up wrestling slower than others, and wrestle with 1.5 knees if you don't have the most important part, which is the connection. The most important thing to me is the connection with the audience, and I've never not had that. And the reason why so many people are mad that I'm here is because they don't have the connection with the audience that I have. Once they stop giving a fuck about me, I will disappear. But they're not going to, because real recognizes real.
Absolutely, man. Can you talk a little bit about Fashion Mania down 20th and Sampson?
Yeah, I just got confirmed for that today. Yolanda, the designer who designs a lot of gear that you've seen on WrestleMania and big stages in wrestling, she has invited a couple of wrestlers to model for her. Now, do I know how to model? No, I thought I was not, like, people like me don't model, but she asked me to, and for someone who I have such a deep admiration for, I'd do anything for her. So it is a real pleasure to model for her, which would be, I think, Wednesday, the 4th of next week, 5 p.m., 20th, and I'm missing the street. But there is information out there. Fashion Mania hashtag, look it up and you'll find the info. But yeah, it's cool. I have no idea what I'm going to wear. I just gave her my measurements, and she's just going to do her thing. I think that's cool because it's just like, the wrestler me loves like the unexpected, the improv of it all. Like, just like, all right, I'm gonna wear this. We're gonna rock it. There's really not much to do. I'm really excited about that. And I fuck with her the long way, and I've known her for forever. And I think that she's one of the more unsung heroes of I think Black history in wrestling. And she has really created a lane. Shout out to the OG Miss Sandra Gray, like, all love and respect to her. But like, I think Yolanda, she's not a seamstress per se, but her vision has created some of the most iconic looks of the last generation and a half, if not more than that. And you know, a lot of people's faves go to her for her vision, and she really don't miss. So I think she's such an important figure and someone who I love to celebrate and love being around, because outside of all of her contributions, she's just a great human being, and she's good people, good
Yeah.
people down. And I just, anything she do, I support. So if you support me and you know you're not doing anything around that time, you should definitely go out and buy a ticket to Fashion Mania and also see wrestling do something else besides being a wrestling show. I think that's also cool. We are so many other things.
Absolutely, yeah. And my mistake, everybody, that's 20th in race. Fucking up my
20th
own
in race. No, that's on me. You ain't fuck up. That was me who fucked up. 20th in race.
Okay.
Yes.
Got you. And I think that, you know, this week it's just like a lot going on when we think about mainstream wrestling, everything going on there. So much folks coming into the city for a lot of like hip hop adjacent things, pop-up shops, all of these, you know, little exciting things. But can you tell me a little bit about what the process was like when you you know, got tapped for Wale Mania for that appearance?
Oh, I wish it was like some crazy story, but like
Mm-hmm.
I just was always doing for the culture when Wale Mania was happening. So like
Right.
there was no time to do it.
Yeah.
But then I met Kazim, who's one of the people who works on it with Wale, and we chopped it up at Ashe. And it was just more like I've admired you from afar. I've admired you from afar. Very nice to meet you. And we chopped it off, and you know, we exchanged information and we talked. And like, you know, I'm not pressed about some graphic or whatever. The man invited me personally, so I will be there in the building. And I just think it's cool. And I think you know, it's really great that we have like this landmark cultural event that's not a show. I really would like to see more of that happen.
Yeah.
Because I think that those become legacy pieces. Those become, you know, I want wrestling to have its Studio 54 so bad. I tried to create that with Paris is Bumping. You know, I mean, I think that things like that are super important. Adjacent events are super important and will help the business ultimately, because let's face it, a wrestling match happened at Rolling Loud and no one cared. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Respectfully speaking,
Yeah.
because there's not proper integration to get someone who may not have watched wrestling since 2001 to see how dope wrestling has gotten. You know, I think if you slowly kind of merge things, then like there's this unlimited potential of greatness.
Absolutely.
And that's what's so great about Wale Mania. So I'm really excited to go for my first one and see everyone and just vibe.
Absolutely, for sure. And I can't wait neither. And I'm gonna be in the crowd. I'll be a fly on the wall in there for sure. Bill, you represent, I think, the best spirit of those folks in this business and out, folks in ballroom, folks in the hood, folks in the community, folks in your community, that believe in oneself. And I think that your belief in yourself that's not nothing to play with. It's not a work. You know what I mean? And even, you know, throughout this conversation, other conversations we've had, I'm definitely able to see like why wrestling is for someone like you and why you chose it. You know what I mean? So I just want to thank you for being who you are. And I really think that when we think about people in our society, like teachers and certain folks don't get a lot of the flowers that they should, right? I often have this thing I say about teachers is that teachers, you know, they should be paid like doctors, right? They should be paid
100%. They
you know
do.
What I mean?
They literally program the future of the world. It's insane.
Yeah. And I'm kind of realizing in certain things that you were saying in this conversation, you know, how viably anecdotal it is. And like, you know, I just kind of, you know, I don't want to, you know, pitch anything or try to predict the future. And you said something about like, you know, going away. And I think it's going to be really particularly hard for you too, because you have such that connection and, you know, relationship with the people. And I think that for this week coming up, right, like especially being in a city like this at this particular time, the folks that's going to be coming in, the schedule that you have, the opponents that you have, it's very poetic and it speaks to the work ethic that you have. It speaks to this connection of working this way for the people. And I just want to thank you and other performers for what you do for us, because literally, like, if it wasn't for us, I wouldn't be able to sit here and have this. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be able to have this conversation with you right now for whatever it is I'm trying to do, whatever artistic venture or whatever itch I'm trying to scratch in this thing by doing this. If you weren't doing what you were doing, I wouldn't be able to do this. You know what I mean? Like, not for nothing. Like, if it wasn't for certain things, I would have never found myself at Full Sail University, right? And being a part of that and being a fly on the wall for a lot of those years down in Winter Park. And it's just like, we should just start thanking folks like you a bit more. So I just want to thank you. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that, and I received that.
Yeah, but just for
it's been hard to receive it.
To this thing.
I will say, as far as the whole self-belief thing, it's a daily practice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't ever want to give the illusion that sometimes being in these particular shoes is easy. It is not. It is deeply difficult. Every day, as a wrestler, as a human, I have to use self-advocacy. And there are days in which it is debilitating that you go, I cannot believe that, like, someone didn't think. For example, today, lovingly, a graphic was put out without my championship on it, but it's a championship match. I shouldn't have to advocate for that to be the case. Small thing like that. Bigger thing is not getting a Spirit flight when I'm expected to have several costumes for an event. Things like that. Things like that is not is for the culture having general admission. Free general admission this year. It's not easy, and my like as a shoot, like my life, like I fought for my life from inside the womb. They were saying that I was killing my mother and I was killing myself, and the opportunity to terminate the pregnancy was presented and was not followed through with, obviously. And since then, I've had to fight to just be here. And, it may be like nice looking from the outside in. The fighting never stops. It just doesn't stop. So what I'm saying is like, to anyone who is touched by the work I do, I know that you're fighting. I already know that you're fighting. I already know that in your own way, you have to do the self-advocacy, or you need to start doing that self-advocacy and that self-belief in myself. Because essentially, Billy Dixon is a lie. That's not my real name.
Mm-hmm.
What I do is a part of art, and it has no basis in reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I believe the lie to be true when I step through the curtain.
Mm-hmm.
And because I believe the lie to be true, then it becomes true. Because to me, right, like to me, one of the biggest things I see in like my audience and in myself and in my peers, especially like specifically like Black queer wrestlers, is like the shell that is invisible, but only me, because I've been around a little bit longer, can see, of like, but I'm not supposed to really show how much better I am. I'm not supposed to be abrasive. I'm not supposed to be. And what I would love for it to happen so I can fuck off is for Black queer talent that may see me. Like for me, like I think that they look more at Sunny Kiss than they look at me. I'm not what you would think of when you put those two words together. Which is like cool, like whatever, monolithic bullshit, whatever. But I just want everyone to take charge. I didn't realize how much I had to take charge of my life, my destiny. And I want people to do the same thing for themselves. So thank you for the flowers. I do receive them. I do appreciate them. And I think that right now we're just in a really cool time where you don't have to really do what our parents, grandparents would advise us to do. I think we've learned that it's a little futile. And I think for me, I'd rather go down being me, having no regrets about being me, and I don't have really regrets in wrestling. So I mean, I did what I did. I didn't do what I didn't, and that's it. Because I have my bad days too, and I want people to know that like I have my bad days, and there are times that wrestling makes me want to cry, and I want to give up. But I think about okay, sometimes you gotta look back and see how many steps you took in the journey, and it's a lot farther to go where you started than it is to go to where you think your peak is. And the lie, like I said about lying, is the lie to yourself is that it's closer to the destination than it is to where you started. The reality is it's always going to be closer to where you started than the destination. But if you believe in the truth of that, you don't accomplish incredible things. And had I believed the truth and not lived in delusion of how great I was before I became somewhat great, then none of this conversation would have happened. So I just want everybody to like kind of grasp that like this is a work, but it isn't. And I think that that's kind of what I'm getting at. It's like,
absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, everybody has the ability to make their dreams come true and make their shit happen. It's just how much do you believe in the image? That's gonna help you. That's gonna be the determining factor.
Absolutely. And I feel that wholeheartedly. And I just can't really wait to play this back because this is just giving me so much like life, as it were, and as they say, just going into next week. And I'm just excited. Bill. So
it's gonna be a really good week. Billydelphia 2024. Billyopoulos 2025. We might just keep this going. Absolutely. We might just keep this going. But listen, man, like next week is Effie put this to words that were very ineloquent and very abrasive a couple months ago. But this is the season finale. This is where all of our hard work pays off. And the fact that we get to kind of relish that 365 days ago, where we were to where we're now, and including the fans. Like you get to, the fans get to see their faves in new positions, hopefully, and doing something cool and being included. And and if your fave is not there, there's always next year. But also, next week means nothing.
Yeah,
that's what I love about wrestling. This means everything and nothing at the same time.
That's
like
absolutely.
I think maybe that's probably why I haven't hit a certain level of wrestling yet, because like I see wrestling for what it is. And I think I don't believe in some of the lies. When we talk about believing in the lie, there's certain lies about wrestling I refuse to believe in. I don't believe that everything is everything. This don't mean shit, but it means everything. It means everything. But I know this ain't shit. Absolutely. So if you're a wrestler who may be watching this, you might be pissing for the culture. I did not respond to your DM. Listen, no hard feelings. It's just business. But at the end of the day, this show does not define anyone. It doesn't. It's a show that's a showcase. For the culture. I love it. It's my baby. It's my adopted child. It is something I do take very seriously, and I do make an effort to make matter and to make important. But I also want people to know that like there will be a wrestling show literally 8 hours after Photo Culture.
Yeah.
Like when you start thinking about that, WWE after WrestleMania has a show the next night. So WrestleMania week is important, but WWE really puts it in perspective. That it's cool and everything. We gotta get back to this bread. Monday night, where you at? You know what I mean? So enjoy. I want everyone to enjoy fellowship. Please be safe. Know your surroundings. Know your neighborhoods. Know what to look for. Please ask a local for help. If you need anything,
ask me.
Yeah, we don't want. I listen. I got a lot of friends in Philly. We don't want nobody getting got. So do that. But it's gonna be fun, and I'm looking forward to seeing everyone who supports me and seeing hopefully God willing, the biggest photoculture crowd ever.
Ever.
I really hope that we get to say that, even with free general admission, that it's the most bodies that's been in that building ever, because the talent deserves it. Fuck my ego. There's so many of the people on this show, especially these young women in particular, who I believe have been hustling. Shout out to Maya World and Jada Stone.
Oh yeah.
Just the work ethic of those two ladies is crazy. Those young women and Maserati as well. Very underrated wrestlers, Maserati. Shout out to those girls. You know, like they deserve that energy. They deserve that love. You know, Two Core Scorpio holding it down. The Unk of photoculture.
Absolutely.
You know, gonna make that boy Jossie walk the King's Road. I can't wait to see that. I think that's gonna be real different. Real different. You know, it's not high fire. It's he gonna ground that motherfucker. Jossie has told me when I booked him out, she said, I'm gonna ground that motherfucker.
Yeah.
His words, not mine.
Right. This is a heavy card, man.
It's crazy. You know,
Yeah.
This is the only collective show that features zero signed talent to a television wrestling organization. Well, not really, because we have Alex Kane, but in the vein of using ex WWE talent or using AEW Ring of Honor talent.
Yeah.
Some were within my control and some were not within my control.
Okay.
Shout out to my favorite 8-ball, Tony Khan. But this is really independent wrestling's heart and soul, and it's not, you know, names. Oh my God, this person from like 30 years ago. There's not a ton of that on the show.
No.
I believe in the people on the show, and I believe that we don't have to use some of these like very old and dated promotional tactics to sell a house. So I want it to be successful for that and for them, because they're the stars and they're great, and I'm great, and we're all great, and I'm very excited about photoculture. Oh man,
for sure. No, that's the passion. That's all good. Hey man, you know, I just definitely want to. I just appreciate you so much for branding and marketing your week in this way. You know what I mean? Billydelphia 2024. Just to run down the bevy of events. On the 3rd, you'll be in Pottstown, correct, for the Tournament of Breath?
Tournament of Breath. Yeah, where the weapons are inflatable objects.
Yeah.
Speedball, you don't. Okay, I gotta just, because I'm like at that age now where it's like everything has a story.
Yeah.
Speedball Bailey is such an enigma to me because he's one of the best wrestlers in the world. Like, goes nutso.
Yeah.
But he also is one of the most deeply unserious people you will ever come across, because this is his brainchild. This is he thought of doing a deathmatch tournament with inflatable objects in a bar and being like, yo, let's see what happens. Like, you would not come. People, I think people have this illusion that he's like very serious. I love wrestling, which he is. Yeah. And he will give you incredible notes after your match, and he will sit down and be like, man, you really should have did this when you did this, and a well of education. However, he is hilariously unserious. So I'm very excited to be a part of that.
Absolutely. And shout out to Speedball Mike Bailey. This has been the second time in which he's been mentioned on the Locker Room Lead. He was mentioned the first time by Darius Lockhart. And
Streets love Speedball Mike Bailey. Yeah. We love, I don't really partake in the cookout invitations, but if I was driving home and had an extra plate, I would give Speedball a plate. I'll say that.
Hey, definitely. And I mean, as far as the story that Darius told about him, you know, as far as like talking to him and like, you know, man, just go do your own thing, you know, he's very instrumental. And I really appreciated like the year he had last year. And I think that I was able to see that other side of him in his match with Maki. It was dope. You know what I mean? It was, I don't really think I've seen
but
that.
It was like, I saw that match on a stream.
Yeah.
That was the reason why I watched it.
Yeah.
All the other shit, like whatever. But I wanted to see those two motherfuckers, what they were gonna do. They took me on a roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
That's the genius of him. He's like, his pen in wrestling is like crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I probably gotta get Speedball up here, man, sooner or later. You dig what I'm
Oh yeah.
saying? But, definitely, man. But you also got Uncanny. AAL does a 2-on-5 against Marco. Fashion Mania at 20 from Race. Uwale Mania appearance, Franklin Music Hall, and then your 3 appearances at the Collective for the Culture, Effie's Big Gay Brunch, and at the Clusterfuck. So I think that, listen, this looks like that game 1, game 2, game 3. Like I'm seeing it in that way. And even just your appearances like to the people, like I feel like those are like moments that will feed you. You dig what I'm saying? And then when you step back out there the next day, at FTC, yeah, I think it's really gonna go down for you this week, Bill. And I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to being in your presence and just actually experiencing what you have to offer to this game and to this culture. So I think that's pretty much it for tonight. Do you have anything else to say to the people, to say to me, to say to us? Anything else at this particular moment, Bill?
I will tell you that if there's any show you should go to, WrestleMania week, if you are undecided, For the Culture, midnight, Friday night,
Yep.
at the Collective.
Yep.
There's free general admission. Once we run out of those tickets, you will have to be purchasing a ticket to get in.
Yeah.
Regardless of us all being black folk, it is a real variety show kind of a show, and a real, I think this show is not for the, arms folded critic. I don't really appeal to those folks.
Mhm.
This is for people who enjoy fun.
Yeah.
This show will have moments of serious drama and all that kind of stuff, but For the Culture is about remembering the love of the game, and the love of the game is that wrestling made you feel happy, it made you have fun, it made you feel, and that's how I book For the Culture. So
Yeah.
please pull up For the Culture. We really want to have the highest attended For the Culture ever, and in some ways, it's very important for this show to continue happening, that we do quite successful in Philadelphia. If we're looking business wise, we're looking at a dynasty. We're looking at a franchise, right?
Absolutely.
We got several franchises, and one franchise is not producing what the other franchises are. Then in any business, things would have to be reconsidered. So that's not a threat of any kind.
Yeah.
But that's a very real possibility and reality of the situation, because this is a business at the end of the day, as much as it is a loving art form. So
Absolutely.
in order for this to continue being a beautiful love letter to us and
Absolutely.
to be in conjunction with Ashe, please come to For the Culture.
Absolutely. And I'll be there myself. I'll be somewhere ringside, and I just can't wait.
You don't want to be ringside during the main event. I'll tell you that much.
I don't? Okay.
I might throw him into you. I mean, if you cool catching like 225 pounds coming
I just
at
might
you,
have some folks with me, so I appreciate that. I might have to consider that, Bill.
it's gonna be. I'm wrestling at 2:00 in the fucking morning. If you think I'm not gonna go buku crazy, like I'm James Brown, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Don't do it to him, Bill.
Yeah, it's time. It's time to finish my story. It's time to finish my story.
Yeah, let's go, Bill. Well, friends, family, squad, this has been another iteration of the Locker Room League. It is Mania week, baby. We home. We outside. It is what it is. I'm going to be at For the Culture. You dig what I'm saying? I'm sending a few folks to other shows and stuff like that. I'll be moving around a lot this week, but Bill, we definitely going to catch up. Everybody, please, please, please like, share, and subscribe. This has been the Locker Room League with the business, Billy Dixon. Good fight and good night, everybody. It's Mania week. Let's do this. Turn up.
Be outside.
Yo, we're all ready. Peace.